Morning. I want to do a quick sweater update. I have made it as long enough. I feel like I may have made it too long, but I started on the ribbing on the bottom. I still have the arms to go. I mean, like, I have been wanting like a chunky oversized sweater, and this is what this is going to be. I was just looking over at my other skein of green yarn, and I'm wondering if I have at least one more. I might have to go buy more yarn. But I've started on the ribbing. I've gotten this far. The bottom turned out a little wider than I wanted, so I've sized down my hook. Pull this in, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But speaking of sizing down hooks, I did a short about this because I was just completely aggravated. Have you ever crocheted with Red Heart yarn with a size 3.25 hook? It's not easy. Like, you have to pull the yarn really tight on the hook, and I don't know how much this screws with tension, where it doesn't catch and split. 2, 3. See, you can see that it just like pops off because the hook is too small for the yarn. But this thing of I bought 5 of these. This Red Heart all-in-one granny square stuff. We all know this stuff is fiddly, and I made a granny square yesterday. And as I was working on this, like I started with the size hook that I wanted, and I didn't have enough yarn. So I thought it was my tension. I took it out. I redid it. Still didn't work. I sized down because, you know, I've read that like some people have to change hook sizes for each round because it's just fiddly. Because everybody has different tension, yada, yada, yada. It didn't work. So let's see, it calls for a 5.5. Is that right? Yes. So I sized down to a 5. That didn't work. I sized down to a 4.5. That didn't work. I sized down to a 4. That still didn't work. It's like at this point, it's not my tension. It's a problem with the yarn. I had to go all the way down to a 3.25 to be able to make my square. And here I am again, and it just wasn't the start of the skein. It's this whole skein. Like, 1, 2, 3. I'm saying it's the whole skein, and I'm only on the second, like, square. And you're supposed to do 3, according to the directions, you're supposed to do 3 stitches here, but if I do that, I run out of yarn. This is such a pain in the ass. Starting to think that these skeins of yarn would be much more suited to a freeform crochet project than actually attempting to make granny squares out of them, or going through and separating all the colors and working that way. Like tying them together and just doing color changes. Okay, now we're being fiddly, and I think that I only have this much yarn left because of how tight that I've been pulling this, where the yarn doesn't split. And I really think that, I do think that like screws with tension, despite having a tension ring for reasons. And also pulling the yarn really tight like that, it helps keep it on the hook. You have to use the, I see why I was pulling this so tight, where it's not like sliding off the hook. I see here it's split. This takes too much concentration using the smaller hook. Where I am in that stitch, it's come off twice now. I really feel bad for anybody that sees this yarn at Ollie's and it's like, oh, hey, I wanted to try this and I didn't want to pay $10 a skein for it. And here it is for like half price. And then they buy it and take it home and they can't make it work because the stylet is so far off with See, look at that. I'm at the end of the color now. Using a normal tension. Look at that. You guys, you watched me do that. So, you know, where this is fiddly, I'm going to have to go back and tighten up a couple stitches. I'll just do this entire corner where I can have the smooth color change where I need it to be. But as I was saying, I feel really bad for people who see this on, like, at Ollie's and pick it up thinking, oh, hey, this is going to be great, and then they can't get it to work. If that's tightened up enough. Good enough. Because who would think to go down to, that they would need to go down to a hook this small? And I only figured it out through trial and error. That I kept sizing down until I got to what I needed. And the only reason I went with the 3.25 was because I couldn't find my size 3 hook, because that's where I was going to go. It's not a corner. It's just a corner. But I had to show you guys this because this is the internet and pics didn't happen. Like, I didn't want anybody to think that I was just being weird on the short that I did, or that it was like a one-off thing, and the that I did something weird or whatever. But you can clearly see me working on this and running into the problems that happen. And you can see that I'm not doing any edits, and this is my 3.5 tulip at Mohawk, or 3.25 tulip at, no, at Mohawk. I don't know why I keep saying 3.5, because I know why, because 3.25 is a weird size. And I'm scared now because I bought 10 skeins of another color of this stuff. one of the, it's a purple and green one, I think. I'd have to look up the color. And if it's gonna be like this, I'm just gonna cry. Because I don't know if I have the patience to go beyond this. Now, what I am wondering is that this skein is supposed to make 14 squares. I'm wondering if I'm going to get more squares out of it since I have to do this. It will be interesting to find out. I'm also curious how much everything loosens up when I block it or steam it. I'm probably going to end up steaming these and then putting them on a blocking board. Because this is just insane. I don't know if you can see it, but you can, because I'm using my webcam and the lighting is like really screwy, but that's all split. But my phone did an update and now I was getting like beautiful video footage. I now can't get it off my phone without part of the video being like cut off. I don't know what's going on. Too. There's the end of my color. Here's the color change. I'm gonna have to go back and loosen up a couple stitches. This is why I started pulling it really tight because it was splitting. Just getting caught on that. There is no way, no way that these squares could be made with 5.5 millimeter hook. Loosened it too much. Oh, and this is the fiddliness that, everybody complains about with the yarn. And, it takes a bit to get the hang of it. But this is a yarn that is supposed to be, that you're supposed to use a 5.5 hook for. And I'm using a 3.25. And I'm running into the same problems. Good enough. Now, I remember a time, and I don't know if this is still done. That's split. I mean, that obviously split. Like, that's really easy to see. I remember a time, like, you could go into... No, I think it's still done that way, because I was in Ollie's and I picked up socks and they were marked as irregulars, meaning the size was off some, or it didn't quite come out like they were supposed to. And this was recently. But I remember going into Big Lots and being able, and like buying shirts that were marked irregulars because something went wrong with the sizing. And I find it interesting in some weird way that Ollie's ended up with the screwed up batch of yarn. And there was, in Red Heart, even on the boxes that it was shipped in, because they just cut the boxes open and put them up on the shelf, that it wasn't marked that the yarn is technically, like irregular. I mean, I don't know what you call a screwed up batch of a variegated yarn dye lot that's, or even like a dye lot that's supposed to do a specific thing and it fails. I mean, this obviously isn't meeting gauge. But whatever. Alright, it says that on the... Oops, I was trying to grab my measuring tape and I accidentally stopped the video. But what I was going for is the label says that the squares are supposed to be 15 by 15 centimeters. Okay, here's my centimeter size. Okay, I've got 14 centimeters on here, but I have also, like, been stretching the crap out of this original square. Like every time I pick it up, I'm pulling on it like this. And so, I mean, it's kind of getting the size, and I'm sure that once it's steamed, it will do what it's supposed to, but I keep pulling on it. But when this one's done, we're going to measure it, and we're going to see how close it is to the 14 centimeters that it claims to be. Because that's going to be really weird if it, I feel like it should be smaller than 14 centimeters, but like I said, I've been stretching it. So let's see what happens here. Split it. Let's see when it splits. It also does this thing where it bunches up and gets really weird. I'm scared here. I'm moving faster than I have been so far. Look at this. I am not going to get a full cluster out of that. Nope. I'm not even going to get a full stitch from a cluster out of that. So let's go back to this corner. Pull this a bit tighter here. You can see right here, like where I caught my yarn with the hook because it's just so small. And this is utterly ridiculous. And yes, before anybody asks, this is killing my hands. Like I am the squares for this, like it's going to take me forever to make this project that I want to do because of this. Good enough. I don't care at this point. I really don't. It's good enough. Three. Like this little spot right here is going to be covered up anyway with stitches. Cluster, so it doesn't matter. It does, it bugs me a little bit, and at the same time fascinates me that I've gotten to the point that I don't have to stitch so slow, and I can just kind of breeze through this now. I mean, yeah, the yarn still slips off occasionally, but I've kind of grown used to using the smaller hook. I say this now, but when I go to make the next square, it's gonna like be the whole same process, that it starts off painfully slow and then gets to this point by the last two rows. Now I'm curious about something. For this stitch, we'll have enough of square done that we can actually measure this across. And this one's measuring 14 centimeters as well. I find it interesting that sizing down as far as I have to, that it's not throwing the size of the squares off that much. I mean, it's depending on what you're doing with the squares. That 1 centimeter per square may not make that much of a difference. But like if you're wanting to sew them together to make a cardigan or something, that 1 centimeter is going to add up in when you go to size clothing. Like I said, when I steam and block these, I could probably get that full 15 centimeters out of them. Look, right there's the color change. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this now. I don't have to deal with that because there's supposed to be enough on here to weave in your ends too. And I'm not going to be weaving in any end with that. Still not enough. There we go. I can finish off my square. Maybe. How ridiculous is that? A 3.25 hook for yarn that is supposed to take a 5.5. What gives? I should probably weave that end in there. That doesn't come undone right there in the center. That keeps wanting to loosen. Because of course it does. I had to use a yarn that was remarkably smaller than what, or I had to use a hook that is remarkably smaller than what the yarn calls for. Let's see, 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4, 3.5, 3.25. That's 5 sizes smaller than what you're supposed to be using for this. 5 sizes. I don't get it. But they could have at least marked, oh, hey, this yarn's screwed up, but no. So people are going to go buy it thinking, oh, hey, I'm getting this great deal on this yarn, and here we are. So if anyone wants to follow this journey of me making these squares, and I'm probably only going to be doing a handful a week, because this kills the hands. Subscribe to the channel, because we're going to find out exactly how many squares we're going to get out of here. I'm guessing that it's going to be the 14, but that could change, because I'm feeling like if I math this, and I'm not very good at math, so keep this in mind. We have how many yards are on here? Does it say? $417 yards. Okay. So if we math this, or if we try to math this, where's my calculator on my phone? There it is. Okay, 417, not 471. 417 divided by 14 equals 29.78 squares. No, that's 29.78 yards per square. Okay. All right. Right, 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. That comes to 225. And what did 417 divided by 14. Wait a minute, I know how to do this. Where's my Googles? How many centimeters in a yard? 1 yard equals 91.44 centimeters. Okay. 91.44 times 91.44. So, okay, 2,000, let me write this number down, because I'm going to have this. So that means we're using 2,723.6 centimeters per yard of per yard. Okay. Per square. At least we're supposed to. Okay. But 91.44. And these are only coming out to 14. Is that right? Wait a minute. I didn't write my numbers down. This is why I shouldn't be allowed to do math. 417 yards. Okay. So 417 divided by 14 is 29.785. yards. Okay. That 29.785 times 91.44 comes to 2,723.6 centimeters per yard. Okay. Okay. Now, if we take that 2,723.6 centimeters and multiply that by 15, that should be 40,854 centimeters per 15 centimeter square. Okay. 2,723.6 times 14. That gives us 38,130.4 centimeters per 14 centimeter square. Okay. Now, 40,854 minus 38,130. That is not right. We're not working with negative numbers. 40,854 minus 38,130. That gives us an extra 2,724 centimeters. That's going to give us 15 squares out of this instead of 14. Interesting. Now, in theory, because my math is my math, but in theory, we should get an extra square out of this, provided that the yarn also wasn't cut short, which at this point, nothing would surprise me. So as I was saying, before I decided to venture into math before having caffeine, and fully waking up, if you want to follow this adventure and what I'm making and how this all pans out, subscribe to the channel. If you don't want to subscribe, just remember to come back if you're curious. So, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever it is you do, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for joining this chaos with me.